Yeah, why not turn on the recording? Wouldn't that be good? Okay. We will be studying the rays and the initiations in two ways. We will be working through the rules, which are profound and which are really the rules for group work in the New Age. They are ancient rules, and they will last for thousands of years. So the degree of our ability to interpret these things will expand over the centuries, and now we can get a good start. We will also start from the middle of the book, which deals with the subject of initiation itself. So we'll be studying from the beginning and from the middle, and we will progress in that manner. It's a deep book, and I'm assuming that a lot of us who are interested in this will have had some years of experience in the esoteric field, and so we won't have to necessarily just go over the basics. We'll be plunging right into the deeper matters about what is group initiation, approach to the ashram, what sort of requirements do we have to fulfill, not only individual requirements, but group requirements, and so forth. The meditation this morning is on the very first sentence of Rule 1. Within the fire of mind, focused within the head's clear light, let the group stand, and then, it goes on, the burning ground has done its work, the clear cold light shines forth, and cold it is, and yet the heat evoked by the group love permits the warmth of energetic moving out. And we'll take these up, these sentences, step by step, morning by morning, and then in the afternoon, at some point in the afternoon, we'll begin to do some work in the center of the book, and then come back to the rules. So for now, trusting that I am audible and now visible, even though it's rather dark here, we will begin our meditation. Okay. We'll take a few deep breaths and allow the rhythm of the breath to help quiet the outer form. And we realize the profound fact that we are the soul in incarnation. We are the point of being consciousness, point of being which has its consciousness in incarnation. And we are not what we think ourselves to be. We are not the outer form, nor are we the emotional sentient states, nor are we the many thoughts collected within the mental body and the lower mental processes. We are none of these things, and yet, of course, in a deeper sense, we are all of these things. So we begin by abstracting ourselves as the soul in incarnation. We pull back from identification with the vehicles of the personality, which are our instruments. We become the observer of the outer form and outer world, the observer of the sentient states of feeling, the observer of the mind, and we are, for the moment, something else. We are a projection of a still higher self, and we align with that self. We realize that we are more authentically the higher ego on the higher mental plane. And that world of light, of love, unity, spiritual power, and sacrifice, it begins to emerge. We feel it within our consciousness. And the will of the soul is used as an intensifying energy, intensifying the point of tension on which we all find ourselves at the highest point of the concrete mind. The different forms of will come into the group to intensify our group mental focus, open to the soul, open to the will of the soul. According to our soul ray, there enters the group the will to initiate, ray 1, the will to unify, ray 2, the will to evolve, ray 3, the will to harmonize, ray 4, the will to act, ray 5, the will to cause, ray 6, the will to expression, ray 7. We are gathered at a point of mental tension, open to the will of the soul, open to the presence of the soul. The group personality, the group point of mental tension at the group mental unit, and the group soul. We are uniting in heart and mind with all the spiritually inclined students of the world, the people who are pursuing the esoteric path, and we widen our identification to include the members of the new group of world servers, wherever they may be found, those points of light in all nations, and the many men and women of goodwill. We take them in and identify with them in soul. And we embrace, in fact, all of humanity, whether in the body or out of the body, understanding the many souls, apparently, and the one soul of humanity. There is one being, one consciousness, and the ancient words apply: naught is but me. The greater soul of humanity. One multi-leveled consciousness. We gather all our energies together in the group, bring them into the point of tension. We visualize our own individual strands of the Antakarana according to the colors of our soul and personality ray. Red for ray 1, indigo ray 2, green ray 3, yellow ray 4, orange ray 5, silvery rose, ray 6, violet, ray 7. We spend a moment visualizing the individual rainbow bridge with those two particular colors for each of us of the soul and personality ray. Imaginatively touching the spiritual triad, the abstract mind, the intuitive nature, the spiritual will of Manas, Buddhi, Atma. And the bridge terminates, we imagine, in the blue-white diamond symbolizing the monad, the spirit, all colors present, rising in a cone-like formation. And we sound the Om as we think to ourselves the word of power. I see the greatest light, which connects the highest and the lowest within us. We sound the Om as we think, I see the greatest light. We will do this 3 times. So at least imaginatively, the group has formed a group invocative field, and the higher energies of the mind and love and will of God can play upon the group consciousness. All of these rules will be taking us toward the spiritual triad and require, for their understanding and expression, the use of the Antakarana. So we are welded together into a group, focused in the soul-illumined mind, open to the will, love, and power of the soul, open to Atma Buddhi Manas, spiritual will, love, and intelligence of the spiritual triad, and open also to the sense of beingness, the fact of being. We identify with the spiritual hierarchy of our planet, which is focused to a great extent upon the intuitional level, and we inwardly offer our salutations to the Christ who is the head of the spiritual hierarchy and the great teacher, and to the various masters of the ashrams, and especially Masters Moria, Kutumi, and DK, that triangle with whom we most closely work. We offer our inner affirmation, a declaration of cooperation our inner salutations. May the holy ones whose pupils we aspire to become show us the light we seek, give us the strong aid of their wisdom and understanding. There is a peace that passeth understanding. It dwells in the hearts of those who live in the eternal. There is a power that maketh all things new. It lives and moves in those who know the self as one. May that peace brood over us, that power uplift us until we stand where the one initiator can be seen, where his star shines forth. And the sense of the divine purpose coming into the group and the plan that carries out that purpose, we affirm that we are deliberately, willfully, in our own way, a part of that divine plan, as a group and as individuals. So the alignment reveals that we are active at a number of different stages simultaneously. All energies consecrated, the group mind focused, illumined, and under the impression of the higher energies. And this being the case, we begin to meditate on this rule within the fire of mind, focused within the head's clear light. Let the group stand. And so we ask ourselves, what really is the fire of mind? We seek to feel this fire of mind and to be energetically impressed by its nature. What is the fire of mind? Within the fire of mind, focused within the head's clear light. Let the group stand. Is the fire of mind merely the concrete mind, however much it is illumined, or does it embrace other aspects of mind? Not only the concrete mind, but the son of mind, the abstract mind, the transcendental mind, even perhaps one day the nirvanic mind of Atma. This is our group focus within the fire of mind. We are the thinker, the group thinker. And so often the soul is called the thinker, as we know. So we are thinking together under the impress of the higher mental plane, under the impress of the spiritual triad. We are thinking in line with the plan, within the fire of mind, focused within the head's clear light, the light in the head. Let us ponder on the meaning of the head's clear light. See if we can get the feel of it, to locate it, to experience it, both individually and within the group. The head's clear light. Within the region of the etheric brain, surrounding the pineal gland, is the center of the location of the head's clear light. An intensified vibration in that etheric area with the gradual stimulation of the pineal gland, removing it from a state of atrophy in which it has existed for many millions of years, within the fire of mind, focused within the head's clear light, sustaining both an awareness of that sense of the head's clear light and also the power to think within the fire of mind. Not just fire by friction, is it? It's solar fire too, isn't it? And even some touch of electric fire. Let the group stand. What does it mean? Within the fire of mind, focused within the head's clear light, let the group stand as a group. Let us seek to understand the nature of this standing. Something unwavering is occurring. It's always an active will to stand in spiritual being, to stand within the head's clear light, within the fire of mind, an act of spiritual will. A sustained focus undeviating. What is this immersion in the fire of mind and the head's clear light? What is this standing? Are you standing? Am I standing? Are we standing in that point of tension? Have we succeeded? This stand is a point of invocation, a point of illumination. It allows the registration in that magnetic area of the group's aura of the higher impression. Unless we stand together, we cannot receive this type of impression. So let us find a way in our life to stabilize this sense of standing. A stable fact of consciousness, to stand in the fire of mind, the triple fire of mind, and at that spot, as it says in white magic, which is neither dry nor wet, but must be the standing place whereon his feet are set, the feet of the magician, standing in the etheric brain, there focused, where the phenomenal response of the light in the head emanates, from whence it emanates. You may feel in the center of your head a type of activation, a certain etheric point of tension. And imagine, in relation to this stable point of tension, that an aspect of the mind of God, which understands the great planetary relations, descends and makes its impression. That's the abstract mind. Let your mind range over the planet and see, in a sense, the broad relations between things. the relations between groups, cultures, religions, nations, the great groupings of human beings according to their evolutionary status. These relations become visible to the abstract mind, think abstractly not about the many individual particulars, but about the big relations and how these groupings affect each other. The whole field of international relations, intercultural relations, interreligious relations, the big picture. And this is how one participates just a little bit in the mind of God as it works through the abstract mind and makes its impression upon the point of tension we hold within the fire of mind, within the head's clear light. And maybe there are descending patterns from the intuition, the new things that are coming to rearrange relations, new ideas. The intuition reveals that which is imminent, necessary, and descending to change the pattern. And certainly the idea of world unification and synthesis, peace, great ideas, descending and calling for the rearrangement of the blueprints which define relations between groups. The true discipleship group is responsive to the intuition, to the new, to the ideas which repattern all our relationships in these lower worlds. So via these ideas, the buddhi, the intuition, the pure reason will make its way into our group consciousness, into our individual consciousness. And finally, the spiritual will of Atma which perhaps few can touch, but maybe the group can. What is the will of Sanat Kumara at this time? What sacrifice from the sacrifice petals does it call for from the group and the individual? And perhaps we sense the power of the first ray to destroy obstacles, with Pluto in Capricorn at this time and Uranus in Aries. Maybe things are being cleared away so there can be true progression for humanity. And we align with this spiritual will, as a group especially. So that we can uphold our part. The will for all the world. The divine pattern impending for all the world. And the great relations between things and the rearranging of those relations in an intelligent manner for all the world. These are what the spiritual triad confer upon the human being who is usually so personally centered, the larger picture. So indeed, let us stand within the fire of mind, focused within the head's clear light, and in alignment via the Antakarana with these big impressions about the divine plan, what's trying to happen in our world, and how we as a group and as individuals can effectively cooperate in our own little spheres. Let us take that stand. And if you have had any realizations as we have contemplated this type of alignment, this type of standing, within the clarity, within the fire, then send forth to humanity, into human consciousness, the essence of any realization you have had. You can do it in a symbol, you can do it in a word or a phrase. What will enrich humanity? What aspect of your realization do you wish to send forth as an enrichment to human consciousness? I am a point of light within a greater light. I am a strand of loving energy within the stream of love divine. I am a point of sacrificial fire focused within the fiery will of God. And thus I stand. Within the fire of mind, focused within the head's clear light, let the group stand. We will close this meditation with the great evocation. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Okay, friends, thank you for participating in that meditation. We're going to be very careful in our procedure, step by step. This is perhaps the deepest of the books that DK wrote on the second ray line. When it comes to cosmic fire, which, well, we've studied it now, so we don't have to study it anymore. It's on the first and third ray line. But this is the acme, the height of his 5-volume treatise on the 7 rays. So it's the one that has specifically to do with initiation and with education in the higher sense. You know, the 2 volumes of esoteric psychology, esoteric astrology, then esoteric healing, all of that, it's all part of one piece. And then finally, the rays and the initiations, which is it really expects of us that we will have gotten through many of our personal preoccupations and our personal concerns, and we're willing now to somehow participate more as souls within a group, and we're interested in focusing ourselves within the causal body, somehow within the accumulation of virtues which we have gathered over many, many lives, and beginning to make our bridge into the way the hierarchy thinks, the divine plan being their formulation of what they can gather of the purpose of Sanat Kumara. So this is, it's a really high study. Back in the old PhD days, which I understand really began 16 years ago here, we did, of course, along with many other things, take up the rays and initiations, but our focus was not exclusively on that. We had a lot of astrology and Agni Yoga and discipleship, and we had a lot of things going in a big survey course of the whole picture. Now, hopefully, we can go deeper, and even though we can't call ourselves an initiatory group of the 3rd degree, okay, it's kind of written for those people. On our own level, we can get a reflection which will really help us move intelligently towards that kind of objective. And, as far as are we capable? Well, no, none of us is. We're not capable, but we are capable enough to move together towards greater light in relation to this. This book and these rules will be operative for the entire Aquarian age. We have here the understanding of what it means to form an ashram, actually. When you start looking at those later rules, it's not about groups, it's about how ashrams themselves function. So this just the way the spiritual hierarchy reads the 3rd and 4th book of the Yoga Sutras, we're told they study the 3rd and 4th book of the Yoga Sutras. There's lots in here for the ashrams themselves to study. But we're on the right line, and we will gather together what we can. We have about 15 participants with us from around the world as well, so we have a little class a little larger than as it seems here. Is there anything anyone would like to say at this point with regard to the meditation, any impression, something of that nature? You're welcome to. Yeah, Anne.
I got one word.
Yeah.
Got a word.
Got a word, yes.
And that was understand.
And the word was understand. Understand, yes.
So before you can love.
Before you can love.
You need to understand.
You need to understand.
So that could be one word given to humanity.
One word.
If you try to understand the other or the others, that would be one step.
That would be one step. Yes, the second ray has another name, doesn't it? The ray of loving understanding. And then he describes what it means to understand, or to somehow be within a thing, abstracted from it, so that you have a detached and yet completed point of view. It's a profound word. It's very important. And it has to do with the attitude of all hierarchical workers, deep understanding. In other words, they are disidentified from the thing itself, and yet they love it, and they can understand its essence more deeply because of their detached yet loving point of view. It's kind of a Pisces word in a way, isn't it? It involves the feet, and standing under and so forth. Okay, thank you. Other thoughts you might like to share? I'm kind of repeating your thoughts quietly so the others can hear them, because we're not set up in terms of microphones to catch things. Yeah. Although we recently in Finland, we bought a great big microphone like this, you know. So this we can stick in the middle of the room, and if you even whisper anything to your neighbor, it will be broadcast. So any other thought you would like to share? It's high stuff, you know, the spiritual triad. You know, so often we just might think of like a triangle in the sky or something. You know, what is it really? It's a point of tension. It's a participation in a much larger consciousness than our own individual consciousness. You know, the will and love and mind of God, the planetary logos, God, the planetary logos, is always working. So can we enter into that slightly and see from that larger point of view, which is even beyond our own individual point of view on the higher mental plane, where we are like an ego or a soul, but we're still individuals, you know. It's still a ring pass knot that we have to break through. And so now DK has said, okay, you haven't done that yet, but I'm going to give you another thing to do at the same time. Now you have to study the Antikarana at the same time. You're learning how to be a full individual. So it's a dual curriculum, one on the first ray and the other on the second ray. Any thoughts you'd like to add? You're welcome to. Okay, well, that's fine. You know, we're going to get into it. Yeah. Did you have
expressing that three minds
came
together,
three minds came together.
Such a new awareness in space.
And gave a new awareness space opening up. Yeah, it reminds one of the sort of the fifth ray word of power, three minds unite. You know that one, and and when we think about the three minds uniting, you know, see, the mind one day has to become an integrated field, and there are really 5 parts to it. I gave a talk at the recent conference about the 5 minds, you know, and I extended the idea. So three minds unite, we might normally think, well, it's the concrete mind, son of mind, and abstract mind. That triangle on the mental plane, and we would be right in thinking that way. But when DK talks about the 3 minds, he says it's the concrete mind, it's the abstract mind, and the universal mind. What is the universal mind? Well, we know somehow he's including the atmic plane, which we call the plane of spiritual will. But if you count, it's 1, 2, 3 from the top. If it's a 3, it's a mental area. It's ruled by Saturn, a great third-rate planet. So active intelligence, creative intelligence, as it expresses the divine will, is found up there, in there. So really, we're dealing with learning how to use 5 minds eventually, and getting them all together so they all work together. We have the concrete mind, son of mind, that's sometimes said to be associated with Mercury, but Venus has a big part in it. Abstract mind, it's got a lot of Uranus, Saturn, and Mercury. Then an interesting point when we get into the Buddhi level. Well, you know, what am I going to do here? I'm going to show a map that you can't see. All right. I'm going to do that. This is the diagrams here. It's called, and I've said this before. He only says it in one place: transcendental mind. He says that's the Buddhi. That's pure reason. That's the intuition. Transcendental mind. Direct knowing. You don't have to think A to B to C. You know, direct. You get it. You know, is it a picture? Is it a word? Whatever it is, it comes in. Usually, you've done a lot of work on the intuition. He calls this transcendental mind. I wonder if Kant was talking about transcendental something, wasn't he?
Several philosophers did.
Yeah. So they, you know, these people on the third ray, they do touch that sometimes. They sometimes overlook because they have not so much resonance with it, the son of mind per se, solar fire on the higher mental plane. They kind of bypass that. They go straight up the Antikarana. But eventually it all rounds out. And then finally, I've given a name to the last type of mind, which I call nirvanic mind. It's not really the last type of mind. You know, I mean, you can go up on the cosmic planes and there's all this thinking being done by the great beings. So it's, you know, for us, I'm talking about it. I call it nirvanic mind. And when thinking in nirvanic mind, your thought is the plan. That's how I've defined it. Now, instead of thinking about the plan, your thought is so will-aligned that it is the plan. Now, of course, it's the masters that are thinking on those levels. Yeah.
What is the difference with the consciousness?
Consciousness.
Yeah.
Consciousness is sentiency. It is feeling. It is touch. It is the ability to be there and somehow register anything that is making an impression, anything that's happening. So consciousness is the second aspect of divinity, whereas mind is arranging and rearranging all the things that you are conscious of. That's how I look. Mind is a great patterning and repatterning force. So it changes the divine pattern according to the ability to move things in relation to each other. Consciousness is the awareness of what's happening during all that. And then, of course, the will is the energy to do it. Okay, well, it is now, this is pretty right, it's 8:41 here, which means it's 5:41 excuse me, whoa, what did I say? I may have given people a wrong thing on GMT because I forgot we were in Denmark, so, I did the Finnish thing. Okay, so it's 6:41 GMT right now, and we'll come back in 45 minutes, and we will begin at 9:30 our time, which will be 7:30 GMT. For those of you who are on, if you intend to stay up all night, more power to you. If you're on, don't sign out, okay? Because if you sign out, well, you'll have to sign back in. I'm leaving the webinar on, although I'm taking the recording off, and hopefully all will work well, and we'll be able to begin with our study of Rule 1 immediately upon coming back. Okay, we'll see you then. All right, we'll have breakfast now. Good? Good. Okay.
But the distinction between the abstract mind and the transcendental mind is not given very precisely.
Well, okay, what the distinction between the abstract mind and the transcendental mind, agreed. He says it's not. He says that true ideas, thoughts about ideas, are contacted in the abstract mind, and the pure being itself, which is a patterning source, is contacted in the transcendental mind. So an idea as a being, as a patterning power, is contacted in the transcendental mind. And also that which is imminent and propulsive. You know the old saying, nothing is more powerful than an idea whose time has come? That's the transcendental mind. I know, of course, you're more precise about these things. You did your thesis on it, so I'm sure it's an area of great interest for you. Yes.
Consciousness was the second division of what?
It's the second aspect of divinity. It's like touch.
Second aspect of divinity.
Divinity. It's like touch. It's like the sense of touch. Yeah. Okay.